Hey guys, it's me again. Moving on. So, today's video, I'm going to be talking about Wonder Woman 1984. So, Wonder Woman 1984 was supposed to come out several months ago, like during the summer. But obviously due to COVID and things like that, it got pushed back and back. And then finally, Warner Brothers was like, we gotta release this. We need money, and we are going to try to do a cool thing where we release it in theaters and on HBO Max. So some of you may have already seen it at home using HBO Max, and some of you might have seen it going to the theaters. And some of you are wondering, is Wonder Woman 1984 even worth watching? And so to answer your questions, let me start out by saying I would give it a 6 out of 10. Let me give you my reasoning. Alright, so Wonder Woman 1984 is the sequel to Wonder Woman that came out a couple of years ago and has during World War I and has a lot of epic moments and was renowned for its women empowerment. Wonder Woman 1984 fails to deliver on those notes. I feel like it doesn't really do women empowerment. It doesn't make you want to be a better person like Wonder Woman did. Wonder Woman 1984 changes their style from a kind of a serious and noble and courageous film to more of a slapstick, silly kind of vibe and very cheesy. And that's something I did not like at all. I liked the way that they had it in the last movie where it's pretty serious, but there's some funny moments here and there. But overall, it's very personable. It's real. It makes you think. It makes you ponder, and kind of has that dilemma between man and evil, and like what's like the natural man. What is man's intentions? Are we all kind of evil deep inside, or are we inherently good? And that's one thing I loved about the first one. This one has nothing like that. It's basically all about greed and wanting more and how that's bad, which I agree with. I agree that we should be thankful for what we have and that we should try to be honest in trying to make a living for ourselves and things like that, but it fails in so many ways to live up to the first film. One of the biggest things I didn't like was the slapstick silliness of it, where even after like this, in the second scene, Wonder Woman's in the mall and there's just so cheesy and silly with Wonder Woman pushing a little girl into a giant teddy bear, and she's kind of smiling and giggling. Oh, that was fun. Thanks for saving me. And Wonder Woman's like, I got you, girl. And she like pushes a bad guy, and he is like spinning around in this giant ring thing, and it's just very silly. And I know Patty Jenkins was trying to recreate Superman 3. That's with Christopher Reeves. But I think that was a bad idea. Bad idea. People don't like Superman 3. Like, there's a reason it's not very popular. People didn't like it. People don't like that style. It's too much for kids, and I would say Wonder Woman 1984 isn't for little kids either. There's a few moments where it's pretty brutal. I'd say when the part where Kristen Wiig, who plays Cheetah, but I think does a great job. She meets this guy who had harassed her earlier, and now that she has her powers, she just kicks the crap out of this guy and nearly kills him. And it's pretty brutal to watch, and that's something I wouldn't want my little kids, my little daughters, to watch. And so although they have these like silly moments, they also have these serious moments where it doesn't really make it for kids or adults. And so it just is kind of struggling to find who is their audience, who are they wanting to have watch this film. Obviously, they want as many people as possible because they're wanting money, right? Warner Bros. Like, hey, how much money can I make off of this movie? But because they're trying to reach everyone, I feel like they reach no one. With that being said, there are a few things I did like about it. I think Chris Pine did a great job as his character, and I really like his character. And when I say I like his character, I mean I like who he is. I'm not saying I like his acting, which I do, but I like the kind of person that Steve Trevor is and what a good person he is. And that was one thing that I think touched me the most in this movie was Steve Trevor rather than Wonder Woman, which is kind of, I don't think what the point was. I think they were trying to make Wonder Woman the hero, right? But I feel like the real hero is Steve Trevor in this film. Because although it's hard for him because he gets to be back with Diana, he ultimately realizes that he's not supposed to be there. And he is trying to convince Diana, Wonder Woman, the whole time that she needs to change so that things can go back to normal and that she can save the day and that this is one sacrifice that she needs to make, but she's not really willing to. And it's hard for Steve Trevor too. He loves her, she loves him, and so it's a sacrifice for both of them. But Steve understands that way earlier than Wonder Woman does. Another thing I think Pedro Pascal did a great job as Maxwell Lord. Maxwell Lord is an interesting villain. I'd say I like the way that Pedro Pascal portrayed him and was a great actor, but I feel like the movie did not do him justice as to really helping us understand what his end game was. What was he really ultimately trying to do? Because obviously you see scenes of him where he's being picked on, he comes from a poor family, his mom was abused, and these really crappy circumstances where you want him to succeed, you want him to get out of that bad situation, and you feel bad for him for the people making fun of him and picking on him and like hurting his feelings. But that doesn't fully explain what his whole plan was. He has this desire to want more and more and more, where he has people make wishes and then he grants their wishes, but then in return he asks for something else and kind of makes a wish of his own. And so he's bettering himself, right? He starts out as having this fake oil company essentially, and then he kind of gets other oil. So he gets more oil, he gets more money, and then he gets kind of an army, and then he gets the president to be on his side, and then he kind of takes over the president's role essentially, and he just wants more and more, but he never says like what he really wants. He wants people to like him, he wants people to respect him, but even once he gets that, it's like, no, I need to reach out to everyone. And obviously they're trying to make the point that greed is never satisfied. You will always want more and more and more. But I feel like they just didn't do a really good job at what Maxwell Lord's endgame was. And that's one thing that kind of frustrated me. And then lastly, the ending of the film, I feel like did not have a good resolution. We don't know what Cheetah is doing. We don't know what Maxwell Lord is doing. And I feel like we don't see any like repercussions for the chaos that Maxwell Lord created. Where obviously he should go to jail, but we don't see that. All we see is him reuniting with his son, which is touching. But it still just left me kind of wanting a more clear conclusion, more resolution. And that was one thing that I missed about this movie. One thing that I also thought was kind of cool was the way that they implemented the invisible jet. However, with that invisible jet, there's some things I still didn't like that didn't quite work, because obviously there's radar which can still detect airplanes even if you can't see it. So that's kind of a flaw. And then also, all of a sudden, Diana can make things invisible, and they never ever explain that before. All of a sudden, as she is trying to turn the plane invisible, she says, "Oh, I've been working on trying to make things invisible, like they did on Themyscira, our island, but I've only been able to make it work once on a cup of coffee, and now I'm going to implement it on an airplane, and it was several months ago when I did that." And so that was just kind of weird and rushed, and if they had done something earlier in the movie that had kind of shown that she'd been working on it or had that idea before, then I think that would be great. But for you, of those that don't know, Wonder Woman in the comics does have an invisible jet, which kind of seems silly since she can fly, but she does. And I did like that they kind of showed her learning how to fly, but it also didn't make sense some of the times when she was flying, but then she would still use her lasso to grab onto lightning and push herself forward even though she's flying. And I think they were just trying to do that, like have her lasso onto lightning because that's cool, and that'd be cool to put in the trailer, which they do. But that's literally it. It's not like she does it again. And so that was one thing I didn't like as well. And so you may be thinking, Parker, you keep saying that it's not very good. Why are you giving it a 6 out of 10? And it's because I like superhero movies. And the effects were good, the actors were pretty good, and it's been a long time since I've seen a movie in theaters, so that may explain why. If you go in with low expectations, you might be pleasantly surprised, or you might be like, yeah, it's watchable, it's entertainment. If you have like 2 hours or whatever that you want to kill, and you can watch it for free, I think that's a good deal. Would I pay to go see it in the theaters? Probably not. Would I pay to get it like an HBO Max subscription? Probably not. But thanks again. Please comment, subscribe. Please put in the comments what you liked about this film or what you didn't like. If you agree with me, if you disagree, and other movies and shows that you would like me to make a video about, please put that in the comments below. Thank you, and have a great day.